Happy New Year from the guys at No Driving Gloves. We've got all three of us here. We're actually recording on the 2nd, so we're starting off the year right. Did you guys do anything exciting over the holidays?
Made a trip to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
You do that quite often.
We do. So went up there between Christmas and New Year. Spent a couple of nights up there. So, other than that, just a good Christmas with the family. Decent New Year. We were all a little bit under the weather, a little puny, but we survived. What about you, D Rock?
I drove and drove and then drove some more and then drove again and then drove some more. So we went from Kentucky to Ohio to Virginia to Ohio to Michigan to Ohio to Kentucky.
If you go ahead and have you some kids, that's an excuse to not go so much, and the grandparents can come see you.
I'll have to think about that.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually advantageous because the trip to Virginia was a side trip for work because I actually had to pick up a donation to the museum. And it just so happened to be about a half hour from Dulles Airport, where the National Air and Space Museum Udvar Hazy Center is. So we actually packed up one of our niece and nephew, my wife's sister's kids, and we packed them up and took them on that day trip with us, which was a little bit of a long day trip, but we got to take them to Air and Space Museum, and they got to see the Space Shuttle Discovery. So
Nice.
That was kind of cool, be able to see the space shuttle. And I got the donation picked up, visited some old friends that are down that way now. And but overall, it was a good Christmas and a good New Year. So we got, as Will just mentioned, he got a little sick over the holidays, as did my wife and I. So we had the joys of the stomach bug or whatever it is that's going around. And but we made it back to Kentucky just in time to go back to work.
Was your Thursday, Monday today then? I take it you returned?
I was back to work on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday this week.
Nope. Typical me. I just as boring as ever. We stayed in, visited her mom, which is an hour down the road. Had a nice, quiet Christmas. Nobody got sick around here. Other than, like I say, our normal illnesses. And she bought a car, so, that's just kind of, in this household, that's just an everyday thing.
That's small in comparison to what you bought.
I was going to say, income... And what do I want to say? Yeah, the meme I believe she posted, and she might even put it on No Driving Gloves. I have yet to buy a car this year. As we sit here on the 2nd of January, I haven't bought a car this year. And
just remind her that she has.
And to be honest, the buyer of the Taurus, the SHO, picked it up tonight, so it went away. So I'm down to a boring Ford Fusion, and I'll be honest, 1.5 liter single turbocharger, boring. So
Yeah, but what the fiance, right?
correct.
Okay, what the fiance just bought, it's got a little get up and go,
It
a little more fun.
yeah, it kind of scoots, and I can actually not feel bad if she drives me to a car show or one of the cruise-ins. I now have a car I can ride in and be proud of. Her BRZ wasn't bad, but this one kind of stands out. So I don't know. We might post a picture this coming week of it. Other than that,
Can we make sure it's one of you sitting in the passenger seat, all belted in nice?
standing next to it and my bum clothes on, hitching a ride. But other than that, I guess pretty boring. I thought we'd recap kind of did we achieve our goals from last year? Because we always do this goal show and kind of lay out what we're planning on doing this year. And like most years, none of us listened to last year's show to find out what we actually set out for goals. I'm reasonably sure I didn't do anything that I said since I left my job, at the end of January of 2019 and ended up starting a business, which I hadn't conceived, it was in the back of my head. But, we always say that we're not going to do it. And then we find, it's kind of even caught me by surprise that I did it. So, I didn't achieve, I think, as far as employment and autos, anything I set out in the year to do. So,
I think I actually remember one of my goals because I didn't listen to the last year's show either. But I'm pretty sure I remember setting out to be better on social media, especially on the No Driving Gloves page.
I remember that.
And post, or at least send things for John and Zara to post on our social media. I epically failed at that, I'm pretty sure, because I probably haven't posted in the past 6 months anything, even on my personal page. But I did buy another car this year. Well, actually, I bought another old car and I got a new truck. So at least things on the automotive end there. And I did make a post on my personal page about the Model T or the Chevy 490 coming into the family of cars here in Kentucky with me. So
I was thinking I said
Model T because I've got Model T on the mind because a friend of mine just bought a really cool Model T. So sorry, we were just talking about it about an hour ago.
I was thinking, I think one of your goals was possibly to add another vintage car to your collection too. So you might have actually done 2 of your goals. Any of our informed listeners
hot dog.
might drop us an email. Will, how'd you do on the year?
I have no idea.
Well,
I have no idea.
You did have a nice post on the Big Oak page about, I think, was it 9 shots of various projects that you guys touched. It looked like a pretty, you're the only one who has really a lot of photographic evidence.
Well, that was all Big Oak stuff. On a personal side, I did add a car to my old car collections or old car piles of junk or whatever you want to call them. Might have added another one yesterday, but that's I'll know more about that here in a couple of weeks that I can share with you guys. It would actually be for my daughter that will be turning 16 this year. So as far as that goes, did add a 68 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, taking up a spot in my garage at home that I need to be out there working on right now.
Derek's the odd man.
Well, thanks for joining us on the show. Feel free to get out to your garage.
I was say Derek's kind of the odd man out. Where's your Cadillac Coupe, Derek?
Hey, I've got a Peerless. I'm good. I don't need a Cadillac. I got a V8 Peerless.
You could fit 2 of your Cadillac Coupes in my Cadillac Coupe.
Actually, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any exaggeration in that whatsoever.
And I don't think I'd want a coupe. I think if I was going to get a Cadillac, it'd be a curve dash. Not a. Wow. Good morning. It would be a 1903-04 Cadillac, just the open runabout. Yeah.
You mean the curve dash Olds version of the Cadillac?
Yeah, well, I started saying that. I don't know why. Cadillac curve, I don't know. But anyway, the 1903 Cadillac runabout is what I would want, which I could probably fit about 4 of those into your Cadillac, Will.
Yeah, there we go. So
Boy, are we...
probably got the most cubic inches out of the bunch too.
What are the cubic inches on that?
It's a 472. That's the 68 was the first year of the 472. And I'm keeping the 472 in it. I'm not putting a damn LS motor in it. So
good.
I think that's going to be the one of the, I'd say, looking into the future of hot rods and cars, I think the goal is going to be to not put LS motors in. You know, that's been the big thing for the last 4 or 5 years. Put an LS in it and you're done. Put an LS in it and you're done. I think we're tired of LS motors, and I think you'll start. My feeling is the new norm will be to update it but not put an LS motor in it, or to update what was there.
It depends on what you're going to be doing with that car. If you're just going to be driving it on occasion here and there, and you're not going to really be driving the snot out of it, then I think you're right, John. You know, and that falls into more of the show type cars that Big Oak Garage builds. But if you're building a car to really go out there and beat the streets and drive to Columbus and drive to California, you have to go with an LS motor, just for the dependability, the drivability, the ease of working on them, and stuff like that. So of all the projects in Big Oak right now, we have one LS motor going on. That's it. Now we do have an LT4, which, you know, I mean, it's I guess the modern version of an LS, but yeah, we have one LS powered car in the shop right now.
You know, isn't that what they used to say about the Ford and Mercury flathead engines, though? If you want something that's dependable and you can drive it across country and not have problems, so yeah, I'd still build one with a flathead in it.
Only you.
Yeah, I'll just buy brand new with a warranty. Yeah, I'm boring.
Or something not brand new that shouldn't have a warranty and still get a warranty with it.
A hot rod at that.
I'm good. I'll tell you another story after the show, guys. Can't put that one on air.
So I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, John. I know you talked about how your, normal, boring week. Well, I think all that's about to change, right?
Now it kind of has changed.
Okay.
Yeah. Did we hear that you bought a car company? Is that the rumor going around? What?
I think he did. Didn't you buy a car company?
Well, a couple people, when they saw last week's episode, kind of emailed or messaged. I kind of psyched them out. No, I didn't buy a car company. I thought about it. Elon and I sat down for hours and hours and, discussed, me buying Tesla. I'd cut back expenses. I'd sold the SHO. So I had $700 or $800 left in my pocket. And we looked long and hard at it, and we just couldn't make it happen. So
did you at least get him to agree to come on the show?
No. That yeah, and it was kind of that, Ford Ferrari thing. I told him, nope, not going to buy you. And he kind of it was a little bit of the reverse. And he said, well, I'm done with you. I'm never talking to you again. I'm going to get in my truck. And that's what he did. He hopped in his truck, towed 7 Fords out of here, and that was it. I mean,
was he in his new Tesla truck?
You bet he was. What else would he drive?
Did it still have the window busted out of it?
No, he had some new plexiglass in it.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I believe it was actually Lexan.
No, this definitely was plexi. And it had this new silicone seal. He was on his way to try it as a submarine. So.
Ooh.
Oh man, I would love to see that.
No, I've teased a little bit, and I've worked a deal for the last 4 or 5 months to with my business to I'm going in as with a principal client now. It's still my business, and we're doing a management deal. And there's a what do I want to say? A collision center in town. They specialize in they're certified Mercedes. They'll be certified in something else in the next couple of days. That can actually go public. That can't quite go public yet. And, they work on Porsches, BMWs, Bentleys, Mercedes, all the high-end exotics. Luxury and exotic is their specialty. And they went ahead and they bought they're growing a little bit. They're going from roughly 20,000-ish square foot building to 140,000 square foot buildings building. And I just can't get away from 140,000 square foot buildings, because that's how big the museum was when I started, 142,000 square feet, and this building's right at 140,000 square feet. And if you've never seen a Sam's Club stripped to the bones, they're big buildings. You can put a football field inside of them, and that's it. He bought a local Sam's Club that went out of business, is going to move his bin there. Dent Wizard's got a wing. There'll be paint protection film brought in-house. They've offered it for years, but they're bringing paint and vinyl, paint protection films, vinyl, and such in-house. Three massive paint booths, large enough to put long wheelbase, super high top Sprinter and Transit Connect vans in, like Amazon crashes around town all the time. Little things like that. And I'm going in to manage the new, as Matt Farah keeps toting his West Side Collector Car Storage. We're going to do collector car storage, manage that division for him, manage an events division, retail sales, do some marketing in that. So that's what will occupy my time. So anybody can feel free to look me up if you have a exotic or such to store, race cars, things like that. This company has a rollback that has a glass enclosed box on it. They call it the toy box, and they do ship cars cross country. We'll pick up cars cross country and bring it back inside of basically a glass container, so everybody can see the car on the trip and it's still protected. Oh, it's just kind of like you guys said, it's the beginning. It took a couple of months to put the deal together, and I've been kind of spending a lot of time out there getting a feel for the co-workers and the family that I've contracted with, and see where we go. And my first official contract day is next Monday, or the day this show's releasing, so that's what we're doing. You say look for Classic Car Motoring. We haven't officially named, but it's probably going to be Classic Car Motoring Remote Garaging, Classic Car Motoring Car Club, Classic Car Motoring Events. It's all in that CCM Remote Garages, CCM Events, things like that. We do have a 700 space parking lot, just about 5 acres, all asphalt, if you want to have a car show or a car event, or driving school, or anything you need 5 acres of asphalt for. We have that available too, because very rarely does a collision center have 700 parking spots taken up like a Sam's Club does. So that's the quick and dirty of that. I don't know if you guys have questions or things. I can answer questions, or what are you up to this year, Will? And Derek, what are you up to?
Well, I got a couple of questions on that deal.
Yeah.
Are y'all going to be hosting like in-house car events? Let's say like Cars and Coffee, maybe some autocross events that you got a big old parking lot, just things like that.
We have those on the would love to do list. I'm meeting with a acquaintance of mine who designs autocross courses. He's already been by once and says, yeah, we can do a course in that parking lot. And we're going to analyze that really close to see if we can do that. And then, of course, if the lot size and shape will be accommodating, then we've got to look at some permitting and insurance. But we believe we can handle that kind of event. If we can't do an autocross, we've thrown out the idea of like a gymkhana.
Cool.
we're looking for. We'd love to partner with one of the existing weekly car events, or at least monthly car events, and whether we can get or we end up designing our own event. We don't want to compete with anybody, compete with any other events. If we have to choose whatever the Saturday night is that's not available, that's possibility. I believe one of the local meets might be having a venue issue, and we're open to hosting that. And part of what I've assumed is the next year and a half, I'm probably going to have to be available 24/7. So, and a lot of Sundays and a lot of nights. So yeah. In answer to your question, the goals are to accommodate both types of events.
Well, that's pretty awesome, because most of these places we try to have these events like what you're talking about are on almost somebody else's private property, and church parking lots, and just stuff like that, and it's hard to pull off. Car guys know car guys appreciate car guys, and having a facility like that could be available for stuff like that to happen in the Birmingham area is, I imagine, pretty huge.
It's always been a challenge, as being a president of many car clubs over the years, working for a large venue that had a lot of overhead to it and a slightly different mission. One of the reasons I love partnering with this group is they kind of see it, they get it, they are car people at heart, they're car people through and through. This is a 41-year-old business, so they're well established, they're solid in the car community. The owners own various cars over the years. His kids, which are managers in the collision shop, have some pretty damn cool cars too. I kind of felt odd, got the deal done about the same week that I bought the Fusion, and I go, now I don't even have a cool car to drive to work. I feel bad in the parking lot. So yeah, I mean, the mindset's right, and we're not looking to steal business from anybody else, but we're hoping to be able to provide possibly a more affordable, more understanding venue.
Yep, that'd be awesome. Maybe it'll be where I can come up and support some of it.
Oh, I'm sure we can find you a spot, or figure out how to host something.
I feel like we might need to do some broadcasting of No Driving Gloves from some of these events.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I've got this. They were putting the beams up today. I'll have a 20 by 20 glass office, so this 400 square foot glass office that I'm intending to purchase, probably a Zoom L8 or a Rodecaster, Rodecaster Procaster podcast setup. So we should, I'll have a ability to record right there on site in case I'm working late one night, or there's an opportunity that pops up to do a podcast or an interview or such. But I plan on having a secondary studio in my office down there also.
Awesome. Sounds like 2020 is going to be pretty busy for you, Mr. Viviani.
Like I say, I plan on it. I do hope to, and I'm working on the Trello board for the No Driving Gloves podcast to be available every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock to continue uninterrupted shows. And like I said a couple of weeks ago, we got a plan behind that. I'm a little bit behind a week or two on getting that implemented, but I think everybody can understand the taking my new business and growing it now to help another basically new business be created. There's a lot of time involved there. It's hopefully the family understands a bit too. So
no excuses.
The problem is no excuses. Say the work side doesn't want to hear any excuses, and the family doesn't want to hear any excuses. So you just got to figure out how to do it with like you said, no excuses.
It can definitely be a tough struggle. You know, we started Big Oak Garage with one young daughter, and you know, not long after it was started, had another one, and you know, it's tough battling that between knowing you need to be at the shop more and knowing you need to be home more, and when you're at the shop and when you're at home, and you know.
But clearly there was time to be home because you got a second daughter.
Yeah, and there ain't no denying that she's mine either. So
I was going to say maybe he just wasn't home enough, but
oh, so yeah, I mean that could be a struggle.
So I seen Will asked a question about this, John. I got to ask the question: how much of this massive complex is dedicated to the storage part? How many cars are you going to be storing in that storage area?
There's roughly 12,000 square feet devoted to car storage, with the entire business plan to, we're not going to install every one at the very beginning. We'll fill the floor first, but the building's being built out and the sections being built out to use 3 car stackers. Again, it's weird. If you look at Matt Farah's West Side Collector Car Storage, he's doing the same thing. I believe he's using 4 car stackers, but we'll end up stacking vehicles with the ultimate goal of being able to garage 150 to 160 cars. Inside, climate controlled, and one of the things that's weird and has been brought up to me by some people I've chatted with about this, it's a completely separate climate control system, HVAC system. It's completely sealed from the collision center, so you don't have to worry about dust or odors or anything sliding over. There's been a lot of designing and engineering that's gone to basically, this room is brick on 2 sides, steel on one side, and glass on the other side, and it's completely separated from the rest of the building. It's kind of a cool thing, and you know, that, like I said, that area is about 12,000 square feet, and we actually have the ability, not including, because we don't plan on doing events in the garage area, the event space we can set up for up to about 17,000 square feet, which is one of, I believe, the largest event spaces available in Birmingham outside of like the Civic Center or something. So we could do, I mean, technically we could probably do a pretty good car show or Maker Festival or something inside. I mean, 17,000 square feet's a pretty good footprint.
Dang, that's nice.
And there's going to be a car club that you can join, the CMC Motor Club, various different membership levels, gives you discounting on the garaging, discounting on services. But we plan on looking at partnering with a movie producer or some companies to be able to show a movie at least once a month, and we're looking at the ability, we'd love to be able to show like Formula One racing and things like that. But again, it becomes a licensing and expense thing. So that's one of the things I'm researching right now to look at the validity of that. But the ultimate goal is to hopefully be able to have people come out every Sunday morning and watch a race or something like that, come once a month and watch a car themed movie in a car environment. This event space has a glass wall that presents the collision center, and they have a nice collection of damaged vehicles in there, so you can see some pretty interesting vehicles in states of assembly. It's kind of like a restoration shop through the glass. So it's something that I've never seen before, and ironically, there were 2 business plans I did when I was at McPherson, and this is virtually one of them. I heard about the idea behind this place, and I approached them early on in the thinking process and said, hey, I wrote a business plan on this 20 years ago. I want in, and figured out a way that would benefit everybody in this. I'm not doing it to benefit me, and I'm doing it to help classic car motoring out, and I'm doing it to help the collector car hobby in Birmingham out, because the amount of cars here are amazing. It's one of the things that amazed me when I moved here. I moved here from, Fairfax, Virginia, Tyson's Corner, Virginia, and I go, well, that's the last time I ever saw a Ferrari, and now it's not uncommon to go to lunch with a group of guys and have 5 or 6 Ferraris in the parking lot, or Enzos and Lamborghini SVs, and some pretty cool cars I never dreamed of seeing in Birmingham. To the point, a little story. A couple of years ago, we were having lunch, and this blacked out Escalade pulled into the parking lot of the Logans we used to have lunch at all the time with the Exotic Club. And this guy looked out the window and he said, "What the bleep is going on here?" And he hops, gets out and looks around, and we had 5 458s in the parking lot in Birmingham. And this is whatever, 2010, 2012, the year the 458 came out. And it was ludicrous, and he was just amazed that was seeing 5 458s in the parking lot, because his hadn't even been delivered at that point. So it was just, one of those things that you go, hey, there's some pretty cool stuff here in Birmingham. And as my old boss, Mr. Barber, would say, Birmingham, it's a horrible place to visit, but a nice place to live. So...
as Luda found out, it looks like. Yeah, sounds like.
And if you're out there, Luda, we'd love to have you on the podcast. I would have to say Zara would be on with us, probably drooling and fawning, but if you're listening, we'd love to have you on chatting about some of your rides.
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, even if she was, she'd be drooling and fawning, and she probably wouldn't say anything, so she still wouldn't be on the podcast. She'd just be off to the side,
Maybe.
Yeah, she'd probably have a lot of questions. We probably wouldn't get to talk. So, well, it sounds like John has a full year ahead of him. That's good to know. Hopefully he'll be able to keep our schedule up for us and keep us running with no driving gloves. What are you up to, Will?
Just the normal, trying to finish up a 57 Chevrolet. Keep up with our Instagram or Facebook. You've seen that it's painted black and white. We'll have a black and white Del Rey inspired interior, supercharged 572, all EFI. It'll be kind of neat, straight shift. So trying to get that car finished up, early part of the year. And we will be debuting 2 cars at SEMA this year. Already got spots locked in. One of them is a 61 Impala that actually today, which I know the podcast is going to release
on Monday.
Right, on Monday. So
5 days.
This is the Thursday before it released.
4 days. Yeah, it's Thursday, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, we already said it's January 2nd we're recording, and we'll release on the 6th.
Okay.
So
all right, so January 2nd. Made a Instagram, Facebook post today of the Impala for the first time. Car's been in the shop for a little bit, and actually going to be debuting it in bare metal at the Grand National Roadster Show on the 23rd in Pomona, California.
yeah, I shared that post to the No Driving Gloves page and kind of teased that if you really wanted to see some of Will's junk naked,
That's right. That's right. And we will be having a 66 Cadillac that will be debuting at SEMA as well. I have not put anything out there on social media yet, so for you that are listening, that's the first of that car that's been mentioned in the public. So 66 Cadillac, air ride, LT4, new 10L90, 10-speed automatic. It's going to be a pretty neat, pretty hot ride. as of right now, which everything can change, it's going to be red. So low, long, red Cadillac. So that's what's ahead of us for the year. So got a busy year ahead of us, and should be a great, 2020 should be great. End of 2020 should be really, really great, and 2021 shaping up to be a good show season for us.
Nice. Doing what Big Oak does.
That's right.
Well, I have no plans to start my own business, nor do I hope I ever need to start my own business in 2020. Don't have any plans on unveiling any cars at SEMA or any of the shows out there. So, yeah, my big plans are to finally build the barn here at the house so I have more room to work on cars. And
do you really? That's probably a bigger goal to all of our listeners than what Will and I both just talked about. Yeah, you might want to have a business and a collector car thing, or you might want to build a hot rod. But I think every car person's dream is to have that barn. So I think you might have just won the game.
No, well, let's see if by the end of 2020 I pull it off. So I'm calling the contractors. This week, the week this releases, I'm going to be calling some of the contractors. Of course, if the listeners know me at all, they know I'm the. Well, I guess I'd probably be the James May of this group, wouldn't I? Unfortunately.
You
Sorry,
said not us.
I had to take a moment of silence there. The old cars. I mean, I'm better looking, clearly, but
yeah, so was James.
That's why we all have a voice for radio here. Come on.
Oh Lord, that's the funniest thing you've said all night.
I try, but it's not just. Hopefully, it's not just going to be a pole barn. There's the cool thing is we do have a large Amish community. In this part of Kentucky, there's a barn just down the street, literally an eighth of a mile down the road here, abandoned. I've talked to the farmer that farms the property. We're going to look at possibly moving that barn and restoring it here on the property, and having a more historic barn to put the cars in and work on them in. And or if it's just not feasible because the barn's structurally too far gone or something, possibly kind of recreating it, having the Amish actually build a barn that looks similar to some of the barns in this area of Kentucky, and just kind of have an appropriate looking barn here for the all the car stuff I want to do. And then once that's done, the other big goal for this year by the end of 2020 is to have 3 of the cars, which would be the 1919 Chevy 490, the 1917 Overland Model 90 Roadster, and the 61 Ford Falcon, all at a point where they're just general maintenance cars, and get in them, go out for drives, drive to work in the morning, drive home, that type of thing, and be started in kind of in earnest on the Peerless and possibly the cycle car project. So big car goals this year. And of course, along with that goes, I'd still like to get more active on both my own social media and on the No Driving Gloves social media. So we'll throw that one out again for this year. I was thinking about pitching the idea of making an American-built mid-engine sports car. What do you guys think?
I'm not sure that's gonna work.
No.
I mean, there's some people that have researched that for a while.
Now, if you'll do this V-shaped stainless steel looking pickup truck El Camino Ranchero thing and make it electric, I think you may have something there.
Only if it's bulletproof.
Yeah, with shatterproof glass. Yeah.
Would it be able to pull a Ford F-150 up a mountain, though?
Should be able to pull.
Only if the Ford's trying to drive the other way.
Okay.
While a Chevy's pushing.
I'll get to work on it.
Yeah.
I don't understand I don't understand what having a broken truck in this Ford V-Rod shape thing is. Why are we throwing in that broken truck, Will?
Broken truck. A Chevrolet?
Yeah.
It's a broken truck? What planet are you on?
Yeah, I didn't see the Tesla pulling a Chevy. I saw it pulling a Ford.
A Ford's lighter. It's made out of aluminum, remember?
And see, the Ford was trying to run away. The Chevy would just kind of roll up the hill because there would be no resistance. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
So we all do have some stuff on our list of things to do. And I think I don't know if I said it on the podcast. I know I've told Will. Me and a buddy already have our hotel reservations set for SEMA weekend. Got to get off our butts and get our media passes and get the show recognized by SEMA so that we can get some tickets. And that thing we were referring to earlier, since it amazingly, it's the only thing on my property that's ever been to SEMA. So maybe
you've got a car that's been to SEMA, but you've never been to SEMA.
Yeah, exactly, and at least it'll
best way to do it.
It'll at least remind me to maybe do that. So I'm as close as I've ever been to spending November in Vegas. And this new group that I'm working with, they traditionally go to SEMA every year. They missed this year because of this new endeavor. But hopefully everything's up and operating all hunky-dory and pretty-like. And
so wait, if you get us media passes, then let's see, how do I want to... Yeah, if you can pull off getting no driving gloves media passes, then I'll book my hotel room and go.
All right, you might as well go ahead and do that because it's going to happen.
Because Will knows people, and I kind of know people, and I know people who know people. So I've just got to remember at one of my Sunday morning breakfasts to say, hey, make that phone call for me. And
all right, when's SEMA?
Yeah, go and I
think it opens up on like November 1st or 2nd this year.
Yeah, like I said to my buddy who's going with me, who you make the reservations now because you can always cancel them, but if you decide in August to go, you're never going to get reservations. So,
the good thing is I've got family out in that area, so I may not need a reservation.
Yeah, I think we're at the Marriott, so
I generally book our house in February or March for SEMA.
Yeah.
So
we booked over Thanksgiving holiday, to be honest, and used miles, so technically the room's not going to cost us anything either. No, it's just a matter of getting off my bum and getting that taken care of. I'll add it to my things to do list, and if you saw my things to do personal Trello list, you would you'd kind of die. But are we doing anything else tonight, guys? Are we going to bed and hitting this up next week, possibly with an interview? Don't know yet. We're waiting for confirmation, or.
Are we asking if we're doing anything after the podcast or is more podcast stuff? Because I'm definitely not going to bed.
Well,
I got a ton of stuff to do here at the house.
I'll make the quick announcement of the possible guest next week. that cool?
If you're on the 90% side of sure, which I think we are, you can go ahead and name drop. And I know everybody has been dying to get Chris Jacobs on the show, but
yeah, well,
you know, they are doing that overhaul thing again. I can't believe
it. I'll see what I can do. I've actually only met Chris Jacobs a couple times. Don't really know Chris that well. The times I have met him, man, what a cool dude.
I will say I actually was hearing an interview with AJ, and in hopes that maybe she'll hear this and agree to be on our podcast. She does have a new calendar out, and she was pushing overhauling and her new camera, or overhauling. Let me try that again. Let me try to speak English. She was pushing overhauling, and her new calendar.
Nice.
I was to say, if we have any chance of getting any of them on the show, it's you actually got to say it right.
I've just learned you've got to say the name correctly and what they're promoting, which obviously I didn't. So I'll just sit back that evening and produce. and maybe look at my camera or calendar.
We are tentatively going to have a guest next week from the West Coast. So, he's custom automotive designer. Been doing it for a few years. Has really kind of got a hot hand right now, become real popular. Become a real good friend of mine over the last couple of years. A guy named Tavis Highlander. He's worked with some of the most notarized builders in the country and doing some outstanding work.
Say, obviously, he's worked with Big Oak Garage.
He's worked with us, and nobody's ever seen any of it in public yet. But that will be changing. Either probably, heck, we might just, I don't know. We might do it the day we record next week. I don't know. So. Actually going to be talking to him tomorrow about when we're going to release the rendering of the Impala. So, anyway, super cool dude. Looking forward to having him on the podcast. So, if you guys have any questions that y'all would like to hear us ask Tavis, look him up. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He's got a website. Just email us or get with us through social media and let us know what you want us to ask him. We'll be glad to. So anyway,
I think that brings up something in my mind. I think one of the other goals that maybe we all set last year for the podcast was more interviews, and although we pulled some off, I think this year, I think we're going to have a lot more of those. We're kicking off the year with some interviews here in the next couple of weeks, and I think it's only going to build from there. So I know I've been talking to a number of people about interviews. I know John has. So I think that'll be the cool thing this year with the podcast is bringing on some really cool guests to talk and interview. So.
Again, that's why we do the podcast, is to kind of network, helps us and helps our listeners to know some names. So like you said, Will's working on some, I'm working on some, Derek's working on some. I actually had one tentatively scheduled for next week, but I had not officially invited the guy. So we're going to bump him and do Will's, and we hopefully will have another one in a week or two. We don't want them weekly. We got to sit here and have our conversations. But with that, guys, I'm going to say I'm kind of out of here.
We out. Come on.
Zamboni.
Let's hear it. Yeah, here we go.
Zamboni.
I need to get a Zamboni sound effect.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Oh, Lord.